At the heart of every single SaaS business is the sales process, the sales system, the way you turn leads into real revenue. Founders who are allergic to sales never win, but founders that embrace the art form of sales, of marketing, have a 10x advantage in the market. Whether as a founder you're selling to investors, prospects, or even potential hires, you need to have a proper sales system. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 5 principles that you absolutely need to know to 10x your sales process. And when you watch till the end and implement these principles, you will be able to embrace sales, you will be able to transform your sales process, and you will be able to accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS business faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. I remember when I first started closing bigger deals at my last company, ToutApp. We started off as a product-led business, but very quickly, we started to see that entire teams and leaders in an organization were willing to buy our product, were willing to buy hundreds of seats, and most importantly, they were willing to pay upfront for the whole year. So this is when we really had to embrace actual sales processes to make sure that we were turning all these leads that we were getting, all these opportunities that we were getting, and even the trials that we were getting to real deals and real revenue. Now, baby TK was a little bit allergic to sales. I hated the idea of having to get on sales calls, to do demos, or even having to hire and manage salespeople. But baby TK decided to grow up and decided to embrace sales. Not in the cheesy sales ways that everyone thinks of when you're thinking about sales as an engineer. I started off as an engineer, but in the way where you're serving your customers and educating them and guiding them in the buying process. So fast forward to today, we ended up selling ToutApp to Marketo. I ended up joining Marketo's executive team as SVP of strategy. We ended up selling Marketo to Adobe. And since then, I've coached hundreds of founders inside of my SaaS go-to-market program on how to revamp their sales process. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through the 5 principles that you absolutely need to know. And if you watch till the end, I'm going to give you a special bonus principle that will actually help you bring it all together and 10x the speed at which you can transform your sales process. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And let's go to principle number 1. Principle number 1 is to really understand what you're getting into. A lot of times people will go into a call or a demo thinking it's a sales opportunity, but really it's not. So one of the things that I find super helpful when talking to founders, when they're starting to embrace founder-led sales and marketing, is to understand what these different words mean. First, there's a prospect. A prospect is someone in your ideal customer profile that should buy your product, that should know about you, but maybe doesn't know about you yet. So if you're going on Apollo or a similar platform and downloading a list of emails and names, those are prospects. They're not even leads. Once a prospect raises their hand and says, hey, I'm interested in this company, whether they download your manifesto or your lead magnet or fills out a form, then they become an actual lead. Once they become a lead, if they choose to book a call with you and say, hey, I want to learn more about your product, at that point, you have a real opportunity. And that's where sales really begins. Up until that point, it's really just marketing. That's the distinction. Once you get into an opportunity, then you're working through your sales process to convert that opportunity to a real customer. And also, it's super important to understand, because we run SaaS companies, they are recurring revenue businesses. So once someone becomes a customer, there's always a second opportunity that gets open, either to sell them on the next stage of the platform or to renew them a year from now or a quarter from now, whatever they signed up for. All right, so that's principle number 1, just understanding the difference between a prospect, a lead, an opportunity, and a customer, and where the sales process actually starts. Now, this may be super basic, but honestly, when I got into the game, I didn't even understand it. And what I found is people think they know the basic things, and they're afraid to ask really what all those things mean. But when you get to cover the basics, the more advanced stuff starts to really come together. All right, principle number 2 is something that I learned the hard way. Having added millions of ARR, having sold services and SaaS products having been a part of multi-million-dollar sales opportunities, one of the biggest things that I learned, principle number 2, is don't sell before you know there is a deal to be had. This is one of the things that I learned the hard way. When you look at the great salespeople, and I've worked with some incredible salespeople, I've had incredible salespeople in my team. I've gone along as SVP of strategy on large deals where these super amazing enterprise sales reps were running these deals. And I've also been part of mid-market sales processes and also founder-led sales processes. Now, one of the things I saw the best of the best do is they didn't go in and start selling until they really knew there was a deal to be had. It can be super exciting when you're getting on a sales call, you got that demo, you got that discovery call, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna tell them how amazing we are, how we're 10 times better than everyone else, and I'm gonna show them this feature and this feature. And when they look at it, they're gonna be like, oh my God, please take all my money. The reality is the best salespeople don't start there. Where they start with is they first try to understand if there's an actual deal. Here's the thing, believe it or not, there's a whole group of people on the internet that are just wasting their own time and filling out forms and getting on sales calls. The professional salespeople call them tire kickers. Tire kickers are the people that will fill out a form and get on a call because they literally have nothing better to do. There's also people that are just so early in the buying journey, in the exploration process, where they're not even close to buying. They may not even be the actual decision maker. They might be the intern doing some research. So the best sales reps taught me that before you start showing your product, doing a demo, you should first figure out if there's an actual deal to be had. Now, you might be wondering, TK, how do I do this? The easiest way I found is to start every single sales call with a very simple ask. Just ask them like, hey, before I show you a demo, and I'm happy to do that, before we get into any of the features or what we do, look, you're taking some time out of your day to have booked this call and to get on this call with me. What's going on in your world that prompted you to spend some time together today? Just ask them that, which is not really a salesy thing. I hate salesy stuff. It's a truly coming from a place of service, because what it's going to give you is they're going to tell you why they booked the call, why they're taking time out of their day, what's going on in their world. Is this an actual problem that they're facing? Are they looking at compare? They'll talk a lot. One of the biggest things that I learned when doing this is to just train myself to not interrupt them. Believe it or not, if you just hit the mute button after you ask that question, I've seen people talk for a minute, telling me everything about their lives and what brought them to this call. This is super important because this will tell you one of two things. It'll either tell you you're dealing with a tire kicker, someone that doesn't value their own time and therefore they don't value your time, or you're dealing with someone that's actually doing real research, that understands the problem, that maybe has checked out all the things you've sent over once they became a lead or read your website or watched a demo video. All of these things will give you information on how to craft the rest of this call. Now, the amateurs, and by the way, I don't say that in a derogatory way, like Baby TK did this too, will jump straight to a demo and not ask any questions. The founders that truly learn how to get great at sales, especially founder-led sales, they look at this as a form of coming from service. It's like, look, I'm gonna spend time with them. I wanna serve them. I wanna make sure it's valuable for them. So let me first ask what's going on in their world so I can customize the rest of the call, whether it's showing a certain aspect of the product or educating them about the market, or just understanding like, look, I don't think you're serious about any of this, so why don't we just end the call right now, which is perfectly okay. And believe it or not, that's one of the biggest things I also saw. The best AEs quickly figured out if there's a deal or not. And if there wasn't, they would not put in as much effort in the call. They would start to qualify them out, which is totally fine. So if they're not willing to tell you what brought them to the conversation or what problem they're facing or why they booked the call, then they're probably not that serious. If they're like, look, I don't care, I don't want to answer any questions, just show me the demo, then you can just say, look, our product is pretty complex. There's lots of features. I can show you a demo, but it's going to be a waste of time for you and for me. How about this? Why don't I end the call here and I'll send you a link to a very in-depth video that gives you a full breadth of the product. And then after that, if you really want to have a conversation, we can do that. And what you'll see is immediately it'll filter out the people that are wasting your time. And in the case where someone's not really wasting your time, they'll perk up and they'll say, okay, this person is being serious. They want to actually serve me, and they'll start answering the question and giving you tons of ammo on why they booked the call. All right, so that's principle number 2. Principle number 3 is don't sell unless there is an urgent and important problem. This is particularly true in the founder founder-led stage. So in the founder-led stage, the reality is you're not gonna convince a whole bunch of people that are not aware of the problem to buy your product. They're just too early in the journey. So the companies that really figure out how to drive growth start to speak to and focus on the segment of the market that understand their problem already, and they're like, I'm looking for a solution. What you wanna suss out after they tell you why they booked the call is asking them, hey, what have you explored in terms of this problem? This problem that you're encountering, which is why you booked the call, how important is it? How urgent it is? What's going on in the company that you're spending time on this? And if they don't position it as an important and urgent problem, then just tell them like, look, it sounds like you're a little early and we'd love to stay in touch, but right now you're just not at the stage where a demo would be helpful. You're still trying to figure out the problem and you're saying it's not even a top priority for you. And at that point, one of two things will happen. It'll filter out the people that are gonna be wasting your time, or people will perk up and say, well, actually, hang on, let me be clear. This is exactly what's going on, and that's why I booked the call. I actually may have miscommunicated, but this is why it's an important and urgent problem. And every single one of these steps actually helps you qualify them, and not from a, hey, like, I don't wanna waste my time on you, but more from a, I don't wanna waste our time. We could be doing a million things. And I don't know if you're a tire kicker or if you're serious about solving the problem. Because if you don't have the important and urgent problem, if you're not being intentional with your time, then I'm gonna give you a demo, I'm gonna follow up over an email, I'm gonna keep chasing you down, and I'm gonna have you in my pipeline. I'm gonna think I'm gonna close the deal, but really 8 months from now, I'm gonna realize I was wasting time and you are wasting time. You're not gonna say all that out loud, that's what you say to yourself, but that's why you wanna ask these questions. And I learned this the hard way. One of the top things I ask when I'm meeting with founders is, hey, where is this in your priority list? Fixing your go-to-market strategy or whatever I was selling at the time. If it wasn't a top priority, then I'd say like, cool, well, why don't we do this? I'll send you some helpful information. And when it is a top priority, just let us know and we'd be happy to re-engage. And one of two things would happen. It would get rid of the tire kickers, people that were wasting their time already, or they would perk up and they say, actually, hang on, TK. Here's what's really going on. And one of the things that really happens here is you create a space of mutual respect. Because you're setting boundaries, because you're not overly eager to please, you're actually showing them like, hey, I value my time and I value your time. Let's have a serious conversation. If not, totally cool. Let's just move on. And what this does, especially in the early stages, it keeps you focused on the segment of the market that actually has the urgent and important problem that you are solving, and you're spending time on those people. So that's principle number 3. Now, before I go to number 4, number 5, and go into the bonus one, let me pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? If you're starting to see the power of asking a series of questions that really qualifies the call and gets them to think about, well, why am I here? Is this urgent and important? What's going on in my world? Not only does it prime them to be receptive and take the call seriously, but it also gives you so much information that will help you give a better demo. It will help you give a better pitch. That will help you give a better follow-up email. That will help you down the line when they've kind of forgotten about you and you're still trying to close the deal, or they're trying to get the decision makers on, or they're trying to get this group buying process going. It gives you ammo that you can use because let's just say 3 weeks from now, they're like gone a little bit dark, but they were engaged and you had 2 meetings. You're like, hey, listen, on the first call, you told me, and this was a top priority, and this is the problem, and this is why it's a problem. That's why you booked the call. Is that still true? What you'll notice is this gives you ammo for the entire sales process, and it actually gives you ammo to speed up the whole sales process. And also, this is not a tactic. This is not a trick. This is not one of those cheesy salesy things. You're coming from a place of respecting your own time and respecting their time. And you're coming from a place of serving these people. And that's what the great salespeople do. So if you're starting to see the power in this, can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, if you're in this stage where you've got a product, you've got some revenues, and you're really looking to scale your growth, and you're looking for more sales calls, more pipeline, and also a proper sales process, this is how I help inside my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. I'll link to it below. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode after the bonus principle, and you can figure it out from there. However, right now, let's go to principle number 4. Principle number 4, I gave you a whole bunch of don'ts, and hopefully that shifts your narrative on how you approach sales calls. Number 4 is do sell your unique selling proposition, your USP. Every sales process and every marketing process needs a USP, unique selling proposition. The reality is if you're selling SaaS software, there is competition. Now, competition could be another well-established company. Competition could be another startup. Competition could be apathy, them doing nothing, or just using the Excel spreadsheet that they're using. Competition might be using a services offering instead of using an actual product. It could be any number of things. If you're in the AI space, competition might be distrust. They might be saying, hey, I tried a bunch of these and they sucked. So I signed up for it and then I canceled it and it was terrible. And I bet you're the same. When you do get into selling, when you do get into, okay, based on everything you shared, you'd be a great fit for our product. Do you want me to show you what we do and how the whole thing works? Well, you want to lead with your unique selling proposition. What's unique about your product? The easiest way I think about this is what's the 10Xer? The 10X value proposition that I can communicate that immediately communicates we're different and we're positioned in a different way and we're specifically for you based on the problems that you're facing. So by the time you get into the demo, as you lead into the demo or your sales deck, you really want to lead with your unique selling proposition. And if you don't have a unique selling proposition, if you don't have a proper sales deck, those are things you want to put into place so that you are effective in these sales calls by the time you get to this spot. Where founders go wrong is they think that selling is just showing them how great the product is, but that's not true. What selling really is educating the buyer and showing them why you're the best fit for them and getting over objections. In order to do that, you need to ask questions to understand what's going on in their world, how important and urgent the problem is and why it's so important and urgent. And then you need to communicate why you're 10 times better. You need to create this narrative that communicates to them exactly why you're the right fit for them. And then you get into the product. So that's principle number 4. Do sell your unique selling proposition and make sure you codify that in a proper value proposition, a proper sales deck. That's super important in this part of the process. Principle number 5 is what happens towards the end of the call. So principle number 5 is teach them how to buy from you. A lot of first-time founders that are getting into sales or doing founder-led sales, even new salespeople, they struggle with this. They think that you give the great demo and they're gonna be like, oh my God, please take all my money. And that never really happens. Sometimes it happens, but usually not, especially in the early stages, unless you really craft all these pieces. Then you do get to a bunch of head nods and aha moments and they're leaning in. But even then, you can't just leave it to them. As part of this coming from service, as part of this really educating them about the problem and the competition and why you're 10 times different, one of the key things you have to do is you need to educate them on how to buy from you. So the bad way to do this is just say, hey, hope you love the demo. Do you want to buy? And then we're like, well, we need to talk internally. We're looking at a few others. So we'll get back to you. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, let me know. Or like, I'll send you a follow-up email and you send this one follow-up email and you never hear from them ever again. That's the bad way to do it. The right way to do it is to teach them how to buy. The way you teach them how to buy, the simplest way is to say, okay, cool. Well, let me tell you a little bit around how typically customers buy from us. Typically, the way customers buy from us is, and then you can go into exactly how the buying process works typically for your customers, your best customers. You can say, well, typically we start with a pilot, or typically we do a 30-day trial, or typically we can schedule another call with everyone else on your team and go in deeper for a demo. Or we can talk through the commercials and the pricing on a subsequent call. So what you're doing there is figuring out the next step, which is common sales advice, but it's not pushy. It's coming from a place of, this is how the last 5 deals I won and the new customers that I got, this is how they bought. So why don't I tell you how they did it? And hopefully that works for you. And then we can figure out how we can implement that. One or two things are going to happen at that point. Either they're going to say like, well, that's cool. I'll see you later. We'll let you know. We don't need any of that. And maybe then at that point, they will get back to you, or they were just a tire kicker. Or the other alternative, which is the more likely scenario, is they're gonna say, okay, cool, you know what, you're right. I need to talk to my boss and I need to talk to 2 of these team members. So why don't I do that? And then you can say, cool, what do you need to have that conversation? Like, can I send you stuff that would be valuable? Or can we schedule a time where I can help you prep for that? Or you can bring them to the meeting and I can guide you guys through it. What this does is you're teaching them how to buy and you're also getting next steps and you're moving the sales process forward. Not from a pushy way, but from a place of, hey, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to guide you. So what do you need and how do we make this work? Because I know, and this is where principle number 1 really comes in. Principle number 1 was, why are you here? You can reiterate back to them. It's like, I know you're here on this call because you can literally say back to them what they told you in the beginning of the call, which is ammo for you, and say, I know that this is the thing that you're really struggling with and this is a huge problem for you. So I want to make sure that we address that. So what do you need from our end? Typically what we do is kick off a pilot. So what would be the best way to do that? So that's principle number 5, have a solid close and a next step, but not from a pushy way, but from a place of like, hey, the last 5 customers, here's what we did. Does that work for you? If yes, great, let's do that. If not, what do you need? And you can start to figure those things out. All right, so that's principle number 5. And I told you I had a bonus one for you. So what you'll notice is with 1 through 5, you're starting to put a real structure and a system to your sales calls. And you're gonna do this over and over and over. And as you start to see how they respond and how it goes, you're gonna know what you need to iterate on. Now, the best way to actually get to great in terms of your system is to have a whole lot of sales calls. If you just have one sales call a week, then you're not gonna get better fast enough to actually close more deals. And also it's not gonna get you to your revenue number. So when I first started embracing this whole sales-led journey and the founder-led sales, we got to $1 million in ARR with a 6-person team, which was incredible. One of the big reasons we're able to do that, where I was able to win deals and the 2 people I was training up who did not come from a sales background, like barely did, and they didn't even want to do sales, I convinced them to do it. The reason we were able to do that was because we just had a lot of calls. We built out a go-to-market machine where we just had a lot of at-bats. We were having a lot of sales calls, and every single time we'd get better and better on how we asked the questions and how we gave the demo and how we drove the process. So the bonus principle is you want to aim for 5x pipeline. If your calendar is empty, you don't have 5x pipeline. What 5x pipeline is whatever your target revenue number is, let's just say it's $1 million, it means that you need to have $5 million of pipeline. And going back to that first principle, if you need $5 million worth of opportunities, then you need a whole bunch of leads and a whole bunch of prospects to go after. So what you want to make sure is you're also doing the marketing piece, which, marketing plus sales is go-to-market. You want to be doing the marketing piece so that you get enough sales calls so you can actually institute your sales process. And that's how this whole piece comes together. So let's recap everything we covered first, and then I'll tell you about next steps. Principle number 1 in your sales process is understand what is an opportunity versus a lead or a prospect. And you want to make sure that you're doing the marketing so you get as many opportunities as possible. And also, once you get an opportunity, you win a customer, create another opportunity because you need to renew that opportunity or expand that opportunity. Now, principle number 2 is I know your product's awesome and you want to give the amazing demo, but before you do that, just ask them, hey, why are you here? Don't sell before you know there is a deal to be had. You want to kick out the tire kickers. Trust me, there's a lot of people on the internet that are tire kickers. So you just want to filter those out and focus on what's moving. That's the mantra we had in that 6-person team. We're like, we got to focus on what's moving. If they're not moving, they're tire kickers. So let's focus on the deals that are moving. Principle number 3 is don't sell unless there is an urgent and important problem. Just ask them like, hey, how important is this problem? How urgent is this? Why is this urgent? Why are you on this call? And why are you dealing with this now versus everything else that you need to do? That's going to give you ammo, but it's also going to qualify if this is a serious buyer or not. And if they're not a serious buyer, totally cool. You can close out the call, and at that point, they might say, actually, no, I am serious, or you just identify a tire kicker, and you can nurture them through your marketing, and that way they'll come back when they're ready. Principle number 4 is it's a competitive world out there, so do sell on your USP. Also, develop your USP, your unique selling proposition. That's your value prop. And make sure you have a proper sales deck, a proper strategic narrative that guides them in why they need to go with you. And number 5, as you get to the end of the call after your amazing demo, teach them how to buy from you. No pressure needed. All you need is like, hey, typically the last 5 customers that I won, here's what they did. So let me talk you through how that works, and here's why it works really well. And we can talk about what's best for you. And that will create next steps, but you can co-create it together. And the bonus one is you got to make sure you have 5x pipeline. If you don't have enough sales calls, you're not going to get great at sales. So make sure you're doing the marketing piece so that you have enough sales calls to actually win them. So now you know the 5 principles I learned the hard way on how to transform my sales process, and you can implement them too as well. What you may not know is, TK, how do I get more pipeline? How do I get more sales calls? Or how do I really structure this sales call by the time I get them? What should my sales deck be? How do I deal with these answers that I'm getting? I'm getting some weird answers that I need to deal with. Or what is my unique value proposition, my unique selling point? What should my sales deck look like and how do I structure it? Or how do I track all this and do the follow-ups? For any one of these things, you're likely in this phase where you have a product and you have initial revenues and you're like, TK, I need to grow, I want to grow, and I need a much more scalable sales and marketing system. And this is what we call a go-to-market machine. I talk about this on this channel all the time. So if you're in that stage, then this is why I created my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. Inside this program, I work with you to revamp your go-to-market machine to make sure that you're generating leads that are turning into opportunities. And you also have a proper sales system to turn those opportunities to happy customers that keep renewing and keep buying more and referring you. It's an incredible program. This is my 6th year running this program, and we've shared a huge number of customer success stories of founders that have gone through this program. The way the program works is I guide you through 3 core pillars. First, we really flesh out your ideal customer profile. What this does is I do it in a certain way where it really helps us figure out what segment of the market are we going to focus on. And I have a 29-point checklist we go through to build out your ideal customer profile. Once you have that, then we build out your manifesto. Your manifesto is your unique selling proposition. It turns into your sales deck. It's the strategic narrative that really communicates why you do what you do and why you're 10 times better than the rest of the market. And that work that we do together helps us really clarify what your message is. And this can get deployed into your marketing activities and your sales activities, all the way down to your homepage. And I know you're redoing your homepage right now. Everyone is. And then the third pillar is a Broadway show. Founders are busy. There's lots of things you have to do, but let's be real. You need to do go-to-market. That's probably at the top of your list. Otherwise, you're not going to get the growth. The next feature is not going to get the growth. So I give you the step-by-step instructions on how to run a Broadway show. The Broadway show is a consistent set of sales and marketing activities that you can run to bring your manifesto to your ICP on a consistent basis. And best of all, I teach you how to do this in a way where you just have to do it for a sprint. And once it's working, I'll teach you how to scale it out, whether it's hiring the right people, contractors, agencies, so that you can have a whole system running and working for you. It's an incredible program. So if you'd like to work together, just go to tkkader.com/GTM. tkkader.com/GTM, and all the information will be over there. Now, the better the fit, the better the results. If you'd like to work together, we'll ask that you just book a call with us by filling out a short survey. And on the call, we'll figure out where you are, where you need to go, what's holding you back. And if it's the right fit, we're off to the races right away. It's an incredible program. I absolutely love it. That's why I'm running it for the 6th year. I have founders that have gone through the program that are more successful than some of these coaches that are out there that can't deliver results. That's why we've been running for 6 years. And when you apply to join, and if you're a fit, we'll even give you all the success stories so that you get full certainty that this is the right program for you. So just go to tkkader.com/GTM. All right, well, that covers everything. Now, if you're still watching, which is awesome, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. If you have a fellow founder, if you have a team member, if you're part of a Slack group or WhatsApp group of other founders that will get value from this, founders that are looking to scale their companies, that are working to embrace sales and marketing but are having trouble, then please share this with them. It'd mean the world to us. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you inside the SaaS Go-to-Market Coaching Program. Take care, everybody.